All right, just for posterity and matter of interest here, it is the 3rd day of May. We've had some reasonably nice weather recently, but now we have a cold front coming in, and we're looking at -8 Celsius overnight temperatures for the next few days. It was actually -5 last night. What I have here is a number of good, strong hives, and then I also have some smaller hives, which are, you know, they're basically 2 to 3 frames of bees and brood, and they're more or less just queen holders. They're going to really struggle with this cold snap. So what I'm doing is I'm picking up the little guys and I'm putting them on top of the big guys. And the way we do that is I have a fabric plus a sheet of newspaper plus a queen excluder that goes on top of the bottom hive, and then the sniveling, it's cold out here, on top of the bottom hive, and then we drop the small nuke or queen holder on top. And what that will do is the small colony will get warmth and heat from the big colony below, and the separators there slows the bees down, and also keeps the queens separate. So the top box ultimately is going to get warm. It's also going to get a burst of bees from the big hive below coming up, and then that little queen on top will really ramp up her laying. So that's what I got going on. I'll do a couple of different videos here to show how it's done, but it's a one-handed deal, so I think I'll just piecemeal it. So these are the next ones. So I got my little fork truck here that I'm going to use to pick up those 2 little guys over there, and they're going to end up on top of these 2 hives here. And this is a method to support small colonies through a short period of cold weather, and it's going to be in this case it's going to be probably a week. I wouldn't leave them like this for an extended period of time, because eventually the bees will decide which queen they want and get rid of the other. But for this will survive for 2-3 weeks during this time of year, which is spring. Yeah, that's about it. So basically it's a 2 queen colony with queen up on top and queen in the bottom, and I'm not doing a whole lot of effort in the separations here, simply because I don't plan on leaving them this way for very long. If I wanted to really boost them, there would be supers, honey supers put in between here. So probably 1, maybe 2 supers, and then the other queen way up on the top. But that's not the goal at this point. At this point, it's just to keep the queen and her small patch of brood going until such time as I decide what I'm going to do in terms of splits, increases, or nuke sales. All right, basic requirements to make this happen. A piece of fabric, it's just a canvas. Okay, that ends up right down the middle, across the middle 3 to 4 frames between the two colonies. Some newspaper, and then some sugar syrup with a little bit of oil in it, just for scent, to confuse them a bit on the scents. In this case, I've got a little bit of honey bee healthy in there. Okay, so here I've taken the covers off, and I'm kind of halfway through this. So what's under here, so I put a piece of fabric down the middle, a few squirts of sugar syrup, put some squirts on the paper. Okay, paper I fold over this corner at the back, and I fold over this corner at the front, And what that does is that allows ventilation for that upper colony. And because it's so far from the cluster, the bees below are not going to be rushing up and overwhelming them. Queen excluder. Right. Sorry for all the camera moving. I've only got one hand here. A couple of slits in paper. Again, that's out. I make those slits. I make those slits outside the heart of the cluster, so the bees coming up will be from the outside here. When they have to work through the other bees of the upper colony before getting into the nest and perhaps hurting the queen. So that's it. And a couple more squirts just on the metal, make it all smell confusing. And that hive is ready now to receive one of those little boxes up there. So I'm going to do the same thing to the hive right next to it, because I have two of them to do. No, maybe that'll stay there. You may hear the hum of the bees. It's because you're sitting on top of the beehive. And that's it. 2 beehives in 1. Everybody's happy. Everybody will stay nice and warm for the next 3, 4, 5 days of, well, May in the north. The irony here is it's Friday. The irony here is this is Friday, and by Wednesday or Thursday of the coming week, we're supposed to be up to plus 18 degrees Celsius. So we're looking at a 20 degree swing. So just a temporary measure. And since I only have a few hives in this yard to deal with, it's not a big deal. If I had hundreds or thousands, it'd be a whole different discussion.